So they say preparation is key. In this case, I'm referring to politics. Yes, in just a couple of hours, Vice President Harris will sit down with her running mate, Tim Walz, for their first joint interview, which airs at 9 p.m. on CNN. Now, this will be the first time Harris has sat down with a journalist for an in-depth, on-the-record conversation. She will also continue a bus tour in the battleground state of Georgia. Meanwhile, former President Trump, well, he plans to head to Michigan and Wisconsin in his running mate. Well, he just spoke at a firefighters convention in Boston. Joining us now to discuss all things surrounding that is my friend, your friend, Mr. Timothy Allen Simon, political strategist back here on the Live Zone. Sir, always good to see you. Happy Thursday to you.
Great to see you as well. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, sir. Let's jump right into it. All eyes are going to be on, well, dare I say, another network tonight. This case, CNN, 9 p.m. Former Vice President, or shall I say current Vice President Harris, going to sit down with her running mate, Mr. Tim Walz. At issue, a debate that will soon happen in the near future. I'm sure that's what's going to be discussed among them. Also, what's her plan on the economy, immigration, so forth and so on. What do you expect to hear from, well, let's say this in-depth interview tonight, sir?
Well, I expect to hear both candidates, for one, show their chops in terms of this being the first time they will engage with a journalist and be able to field the questions, some of them tough, some of them supportive, some of them will be beach balls over the plate. But I think it will be a chance to introduce this ticket to the American public in a very intimate type of setting, but also a challenging setting. There are many questions surrounding my dear friend, the Vice President, and her policy positions, the position she took in 2020 compared to the position she's taking today. I think what you will see is an explanation of her evolution and independence, that even though she was part of the Biden ticket, obviously she was part of the Biden administration, as a politician that has never lost a race. She withdrew from the presidential race in 2020. She will show the American public why she is Kamala Harris and what that means to the United States of America. In terms of Governor Walz, his message will be to middle America. He provides her that balance in the ticket. She's viewed as a San Francisco liberal. He's Midwestern and probably more liberal than she is. But being a white male governor out of Minnesota, I'm just keeping it real, he'll have a platform that'll provide him a wide net of potential voters.
Yeah, speaking of keeping it real, that's exactly what the Vice President has been doing with regard to preparation. You heard me say that earlier, preparation being key. She is preparing for any and every question. I wanted, if you will, focus on a lot of the flack that she is catching with regard to doing this joint interview. I should make mention that typically history has shown that following a convention, whether Democrat or Republican, both the presidential nominee and the vice presidential nominee actually sit down for a joint interview. Still, there is speculation that, well, Mr. Walz is joining her to cover, if you will, to perhaps make her feel more comfortable when those tough questions are posed. What's your take on that?
I think that's a typical diminution of women and women of color that media is known to do, rather intentionally or implicitly. Kamala Harris is a former United States Senator of the fourth largest economy in the world, California, G7. So that's what she's doing. She knows what she's going to say. But I do think it's an opportunity to introduce the country to Tim Walz and the amazing veteran teacher, coach, him as well. This is politics. Politics is about getting votes. They're bringing forth the fact that this is a very competent team that had to assemble in a very short period of time. Now they're ready to have that dialogue with the journalist community. I don't know if it made that much of a difference to voters, to be honest. Probably policy wonks like myself. But now they'll have the opportunity to have America really know them, get to know them in a journalistic setting.
Yeah, well, it's no secret, sir, you have done well in that setting, along with those that you have been aligned with, including former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm curious, with that being said, what does it take to prepare for something like this? What do you all do? I mean, do you sit down and does someone pose a question? Then let's say someone throws a curveball. Do you then respond? Are you corrected? Do you then stop? How does that all play out?
Well, I think there's probably been a lot of rehearsal, even though both Governor Walz and Vice President Harris have been on the road, but they travel in Air Force One, and they have a lot of capabilities while in flight. Kamala Harris is a courtroom attorney. She's a prosecutor. We went to the same law school, me many years before her, and she's known in her ability to be able to put forth a case, to put forth an argument in her professional career prior to being a politician before a jury. And now it's before the public. It's not that different in terms of planning to present a case. And that's what we will see in this interview. Every opportunity she has, she'll be throwing jabs. She'll be throwing crosses to get to the American public that this is why. This is the ticket that you want. And I expect, again, Governor Walz will communicate it in a way that goes to middle America. Kamala's from California. That is not the Bay Area. We're a lot of things, but middle America is not one of them. So this will give her an opportunity in this combined ticket to give a balanced policy position. I think their challenge will be is to hold on to their left flank while veering towards the middle to capture what I would call the Nikki Haley voters, those who are on the fence with Trump and are looking for some indication that her administration will be one that will appeal to middle America.
Yeah, speaking of middle America, you made mention of California not being in the middle. You all are at the top with regard to wine, if you ask me, but that's a whole nother story.
Absolutely. Napa Valley and Sonoma.
Let's switch gears to one of the top stories right here in the Washington, D.C. area. This story really being clicked on a lot on our website, fox5dc.com. It all surrounds what took place at Arlington National Cemetery. This happening very recently, where the Trump campaign actually went to the Arlington National Cemetery. While there, one of the photogs for former President Trump got into somewhat of a little scuffle with one of the staff members at Arlington National Cemetery. To put it plain and simple, you can't take pictures there while attending a campaign event. Well, apparently someone didn't get the memo. Now, the U.S. Army getting involved, saying, hey, wait a minute, you are in the wrong. You being former President Trump's campaign. What are you thinking about this? Hearing anything about this?
I think it's very Trumpian. His advisors have said that President Trump runs his campaign. He's very hands-on. By the way, this is new water, having a former president that lost an election and is now running again for a second term. Hence, he's getting presidential treatment at Arlington. He's no longer the president. And clearly, this they viewed as a campaign opportunity. We'll see a lot of emphasis on questioning Walz's 24 years of service in the National Guard. It's a fight for not just the vote of veterans that have served this country, but also those who believe in strong defense, a strong military, and that type of policy platform. So I think it was intentional. They knew it would be controversial, but think about it. The only bad publicity is no publicity. This puts President Trump back in the news cycle that since the announcement of Kamala Harris has been dominated by the Harris-Walz ticket.
All right, well, we're talking about putting them back in the news cycle, but playing devil's advocate here, we do know that several families who lost loved ones that happened to be at Arlington National Cemetery while the former president was there, they were a little upset, outraged, to say the least, that these pictures were actually being taken during a private time. Your response to that?
Well, first off, I want to thank the families for the service of their loved ones and maintain the reverence and importance of Arlington. But again, this is for the marbles. This is a presidential campaign. Former President Trump is known to not go by the rules. He is an autocrat. He wants to be an autocrat. But I've said this before. There are many Western governments or nations that are democratically electing autocrats. So to a certain base, the fact that Trump will defy the rules, that he won't go with the instructions of the staff that he refers to as deep state, when you're talking about governmental properties like Arlington. This, believe it or not, appeals to certain voters, particularly these Robert Kennedy type voters, the ones that are filled with conspiracy theories and distrust for government. As African Americans, I think we have a certain inherent distrust of government. Hence, he knows what he's doing. This was a shot across the bow to say, I'm the man you want because I do it my way. For the families that have been insulted, That's real, and I understand that. But this is politics, and this is for the presidency.
Amazing commentary yet again by Mr. Timothy Allen Simon, political strategist, joining us right here on the Live Zone. Truly a pleasure to see you, sir. Save me some wine over there in California.
You got it. Okay.
All right. Good stuff. One of the many guys that joins us right here weekly on the Live Zone.